welcome to another Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, CaptainLogun, and we've got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today, so tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. This week I am being joined by none other than content creator Kharities, also known as Carrots. She's one of the few people that have been around in the Sea of Thieves for a very long time and has had her own spotlights. She's streaming on a regular basis, and we're going to be talking about the latest update video that we got from Rare. All that and more in this week's episode of Keelhauled Podcast. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna introduce you, because basically, like, I don't know when we started chatting, but I'm pretty sure we started chatting on Twitter, and it was just one of those community things. But you've been doing the Sea of Thieves gig for quite a while. Like, you've basically been around since the technical alpha. And have you? Yes. Has it been one of those things where, because you've been doing the technical alpha and you've seen the game in the beta and you've seen the game at launch and all the way up to now, is there anything that you can think of that hasn't been checked off the box of wants? Like, are there still things that you want to see come to the game that you've seen in the past that have made their way to the game?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Yes and no. I mean, basically, honestly, like, they're hitting the nail on the head with, just what everybody wants. Yeah, they're not getting it as soon as everybody requests it, because, let's face it, it takes a lot of work to do this. But, like, probably more shanties, or maybe able to pick what shanties you want to play.
I fully support that. I think that's an awesome want, and I think that's something that they could actually do. I still support the whole music box concept and being able to have shanties learned there and take them and have custom shanties and stuff like that.
Yeah, something like that would be really cool.
Yeah, and I think it'd be great. So back in, let's see, this was after Thanksgiving that this spotlight went live. Cameron Thomas reached out to you and wanted to do a spotlight on you, which is funny because you've been around the community forever. And some of the things that I loved about this was how you were kind of talking about how you grew up with a bunch of siblings. Like, you have a ton of siblings, right?
Three older brothers, and a younger sister.
And you've been playing games with them or against them for the most part?
Both are fighting to play the game. It's a balance.
So was it one of those things where eventually you guys got old enough to where, like, because you talk about having an NES, have you played games with them when, say, like, the GameCube came out, or like the Dreamcast, where it was like four people?
The NES was basically the main thing that we had when we were younger. But of course, we live in country life, and so we didn't, get all the new consoles when they come out.
So what was the last system that you played with them?
Probably one of the first PlayStation to come out.
Really? And that was pretty good time, or was that constantly fighting over who got to play it?
No, whenever we did play it, of course, we always fought over who was playing it. But it's just, I don't know, we just spent a lot of time outside, and then, like I said, and then we got in the mode to play games, so we played games. So I guess it's back and forth.
And
but it wasn't like
any of them
thing.
So it was just kind of like once in a while kind of thing. It wasn't all the time.
That's only if my aunt's Chihuahua didn't pee on the NES too. I got no lies to tell.
Oh man.
He would. I don't know why, but that was his
thing.
He'd go pee on the NES, and we have to dry it out with a hairdryer. Clean it up. It was bad.
That couldn't have smelled good. You guys couldn't put it up high on something? Like, I haven't known Chihuahuas as great jumpers.
He's a miniature Chihuahua. No.
So this was a Chihuahua that could he could scale things well enough to where he's like, yeah, no, that's mine.
No, it wasn't sitting on something. It was laying in the floor. So, that's basically the only place we had to put it, and then we would slide it under the TV stand. But
Oh no.
Yeah. I don't know why, but
Oh
every
no.
now and then he'd get triggered and just go pee on it, so
At that point, I feel like you start like crafting your own little fence that you can put around it and thread the cords through it to just like there needs to be like a quarantine facility developed for this little NES to protect it from the acid rain of this miniature
Yeah.
chihuahua.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a
Um,
daily thing, it was just random.
so it was just sporadic. He's like,
They
today's a good day for
like,
today's a good day for the NES.
this one made me mad. I don't know.
Oh my
But
god.
animals are funny like that. They make you mad and they'll go do something, you know?
I think you're talking about humans. I think
No,
that's
no,
humans as
animals do
well.
it too. You've seen dogs and cats when they're mad at you, like they don't want to mess with you, like they're like, no, go away.
Yeah. No,
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely get
Mhm.
that. So are any of your siblings still playing games? Or are they still pretty heavy into to jumping in from time to time, or are you the
Um,
main one?
I'm of course I'm the main one. My siblings play a little bit here and there. My brother used to drive. Well, he still drives semi, but he used to, whenever he went on the long hauls that he was out for a week. He'd take Xbox console with him, and we would play. But now, since he's home every night, he doesn't do that anymore, and so the nieces and nephews play it most of the time. But yeah, mainly it's nieces and nephews, and then every now and then they'll hop on and play games. But no, I'm the main one when it comes to that.
It's interesting. Do you have any thoughts as to why that is, or is it just kind of that's a matter of fact life situation?
I don't know. It's just
Have you
we all
tried to
kind of
get
went
them
different ways.
into any other games, or have you tried to get them into Sea of Thieves?
No, not yet. They like watching it, but
Haven't.
they haven't. Yeah, they haven't played with it. Like I said, they're rarely on it. My brother likes first person shooter games.
Hmm.
Um,
This is a first person shooter. Sea of Thieves is very much a first person shooter.
yeah, but you know what I mean. They like Call of Duty and Destiny and
It's not the fast paced action progression level shooter with headshot multipliers and
right.
all
My
kinds of
nephews have
different.
played it. Like the kids
Yeah,
have played some, and they loved it when they played it. It was cracking
that's
me up.
cool. That's what
Sitting all
I
excited.
love.
My nephew's sitting there acting like the captain.
So I wanted to jump into a quick question that I had because I was going back and I wanted to dig into a little bit about your Easter egg because I
Mhm.
remember it was there and I remember when you showed it to me and you kind of told me the story. But what's the story behind your Easter egg? Because you're a boatswain, but as far as I've talked with Thor von Blitz and on the last couple episodes ago, boatswains didn't get Easter eggs, but you
Mm-mm.
do. So, kind of give a little bit of a backstory to people who may not know that you have an Easter egg and where it's at and why you got it.
Yeah, so the goat hoarder list is at Lost Goat Fort, and it was given to, of course, in the alpha, you know, you only played so many days, so many times a month.
Hmm.
So getting gold and was very difficult, like just to stack it up like that. And so, of course, I would play it religiously whenever they had dates set up to play it because, you know, it's such a pretty game.
It really is. Yeah.
And then just the silly stuff that you can do for, you know, no effort at all is great. But, no, it was just, you know, we were just hanging out and having fun and like I said, gold's hard to stack up in the game where you don't play it very much or don't get to play it very much, and I hit like 500,000. I'm like, and I told him, I was like, I just want to go till I get a million. My crew that I played with then. And so they helped me, you know, I just want to break a million. I was like, then I'm happy. So I made it that far. I was like, that was just something to do. And then they told us they were wiping it because they were going to of course that was about the time to do the balancing of the gold.
Hmm.
So so then um let me see. And so then they come up with this list and they post it in the game, and I didn't even know about the list being an Easter egg in the game. I actually had an IRL friend tell me about it. Like nobody in the that I knew in the game, playing the game, knew about it, knew where it was or anything, but an IRL friend found it. and told me
That's
about
really
it.
surprising. Now this is so you mentioned that this was during the technical alpha. This is a point where Gold Hoarder is all we had access to. I know that the NDA is still technically on it, but as far as my experience with the beta, Gold Hoarder was the only merchant available to us as far as being able to earn gold. Like there wasn't stuff like
Yeah,
randomly
there wasn't
strewn
any
about.
extra stuff to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because I mean, it was all
like
still work in progress.
so imagine, if you will, listeners, your only your only way to earn gold is through doing riddles and digging up treasure X marks the spots, and that's it. There's no Kraken, there's no Megalodon, there's no forts, there's no Order of Souls or merchants, there's no floating treasure anywhere, nothing. Like all you have to do is go out and dig up treasure, and that's it. She managed to get 1 million gold just by doing that. It's insane to me to think. Like I've rarely ever crested 1 million gold myself, and I've been playing the game forever, and
Yeah.
it's insane. But I realize like a lot of the time that I spend playing the game is mostly wandering around doing dumb stuff that doesn't actually earn me anything.
Yeah, and
So,
like now with the game, I'm at like about 12 million right now.
which is a ton of gold, and I think
It is a ton considering how much I actually give away.
that's true. Yeah, you spend a fair amount of time getting huge hauls and actually just dishing those out to viewers, right? Or people in the Discord.
Both. No, people in chat, and then if I find a boat in a game who's not trying to kill me.
Well, that's kind of rare. That's kind of rare nowadays.
I did find a kid the other day. Very sweet.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Have you noticed since the holidays that we've gotten a influx of new pirates coming in?
Oh yes, yes, you can
It's been
tell.
interesting. Yeah.
Holidays and updates, boy, you can tell.
Yeah. Droves of new, fresh pirates wandering around trying to understand stuff. It's really hilarious.
I love it.
So speaking of finding kids in the game, as you destroy my show notes.
I'm sorry. I fixed it.
That's good. No, I'm just kidding. So I wanted to dive into the actual update that we got, because this update, it's the first video that I think we got since the ending of the last month, where there was like a weird random bug that just was causing people to not be able to earn credit for Fort of the Dam turn-ins, I think.
Yeah, I had a couple that didn't. I had a few that didn't count.
Yeah, it's so rough.
Which is fine. Look, it's a game. Things happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, games. There's tons of bugs in any game that I play, but yeah,
anything can break it.
I don't understand it. But I wanted to talk about this update video, and I'm going to be going a little out of order on this because it's you brought up seeing a lot of new kids popping into the game, and I love seeing that kids are coming to the game. And one of the things that are going to help with kids is this next update. We're going to be getting the Valiant Dawn sales, which is to support St. Jude Hospital, which I actually think is really awesome. We had a really good time with the latest charity event that was for special effect, and that raised
crazy.
Wasn't it amazing? $76,000 raised for charity for one sale. And I think who was it? I can't remember who it was on YouTube, but shout out to them. They know who they are. They knocked it down. I want to say they managed to figure out that it was roughly about 20,000 people purchased the liveries, just based on the number or the cost of the sales and the amount that they earned. So about 20,000 people, if I recall correctly, purchased those livery sets. And I
have the sales.
Yeah, I love them. I think they're beautiful. Yeah, but I'm going to be honest, the Valiant Dawn sales I think are even better.
Oh, they're gorgeous. I love that they keep adding and doing more stuff with this.
Yeah. And it's something that I think is going to get more and more frequent as time goes on. And I think as long as they keep these sales really cool looking the way they have, I think it's going to be an easy way to generate revenue for these charities.
Yeah, and it's not just that they're cool looking. It's like, dude, like these cosmetics have like a purpose. Like you don't
Yes.
expect it, but it honestly does do good. Like,
Yeah. And it's funny because I was digging into St. Jude's, or I don't even notice if I can't remember if I even mentioned it, but yeah, these are for St. Jude's Hospital, something that started back in 1962, and the amount of children that have survived cancer as a result of St. Jude's Hospital since 1962 up till 2012 went from 20% survival rate to 80% survival rate, and that's worldwide.
it's mind blowing.
It's insane to think. So I'm really looking forward to just what happens with this coming. I would love to see everyone jump on this. If we can get $100,000, that would be a really good bump to show just like how important this is.
Yeah, exactly. It would be amazing. I think it can be done.
Oh, I think it's totally doable. I think there's no reason why in a month we can't raise $100,000. That's easy. So moving on to the next bit of items on the docket. Pirate appearance potion is coming.
I've heard a lot of talk about this.
This has been something that I think a lot of people have wanted for a long time in the game, and I'm hoping the cost is low because this is coming in the next update as a microtransaction. How do you feel about this being a microtransaction?
You know, I don't blame it one bit. Like I kept telling people like in another game where you paid like what was it? I think it was GTA does it where you pay like $1 million and you're able to change your character. And that's what I said. I think they should do something like that in game. However, from what I noticed from the video, they did have a really low price on it, like maybe $1.50.
Yeah.
I think would be the amount like out of your pocket to change your pirate. And I know there's like a lot of people like when they pick their pirate, like, oh, I didn't know I could re-roll it. You know, I could keep spinning it. And you know, if I ever get a chance, like I'm going to change my pirate, and then you have people who did that and didn't know they could, but they're like, I couldn't change my pirate. Like I like my pirate. You know, I didn't at first, but I've got used to it. You know.
Yeah, and that's it's funny to see this kind of finally happen. It's something that the community has been wanting for a very long time. A lot of us have since ever finding out that the pirate wheel was, a lot of people didn't know that you could change it, that you could lock potential pirates in and be able to kind of filter through that. I was very picky about my pirate. I've been very happy with him, so I know I'll never get any use out of this.
I was so picky. I spent 3 hours on launch day.
Yeah,
circling the wheel.
It was, a lot of us put a lot of time in for sure, and I know I think I spent at least an hour just kind of going back and forth.
Well, see, because I know like then like the hair color and everything on launch day was limited. Like you had your basic hair colors and everything like that, and I was just like I only had like just a small little request from a pirate. It's like it's just you know a decent looking blonde chick. Like I don't care if she had like a dead eye or no teeth or something. Just give me a blonde chick. And all it gave me, because all it was giving me was dudes and some older ladies, you know, with liver spots and everything on them. And I was like 3 hours of just holding, because I was on controller then, so holding the joystick to the right, and then as soon as I'd get to make the circle where they didn't have a blonde chick, I just pushed the button. So I was just sitting there just constantly moving the wheel.
Do you feel like this system I love that this is giving you like a refresh. It mixes things up that you probably wouldn't see normally. I know when I jump into character creators, I generally have like an idea of what I want my character to look like going into it, so I immediately start trying to filter for those specific things. But I know with the pirate generator, there's always an opportunity that something's going to surprise you and show you something that you normally wouldn't see, and that might be enough to entice you. So do you feel like the pirate generator still has enough value, or do you think that over the course of the next couple of years they should implement a system that allows you to do sliders and pre-selects or just random?
No, I like the random. I do like the
Okay.
random pirate generator, but it still surprises you. Like I almost picked a couple pirates that had multiple color hair because those look really cool beforehand, where you couldn't
Hmm.
change your hair color or anything. Like you'd see a salt and pepper hair color, and I think there's one that's like a blonde and a brown striped hair color that looked really cool.
Yeah.
But I'm not lying. I was dead set on blonde, and the more I couldn't find a blonde one, the more I tried.
Yeah. Do
But
you
it's
think that
go ahead.
going into the pirate appearance portion, do you think that people should have like a free one-off, like they should get to re-roll their pirate once for free?
Hmm, that's a hard question. I don't know, why is that so hard?
Do you think people would want to change it more often if they could, like if this was just a gold thing? Because I could imagine, wanting to keep all the cosmetics that you have, but also wanting to make sure that you can kind of change up your pirate to different scenarios or different stories if you want to, but not having to pay actual money for that limits that functionality and kind of
Hmm.
kills like your ability to
Yeah,
re-roll
I
your
can see how
pirate
that would
whenever
be a
you
good
want.
thing. I can see. I
It's
mean, yeah, I can see that.
it's an interesting thing because I know people who've had their pirate. They've gotten somewhat deep into the reputations, and then they've restarted it because they just can't stand looking at their pirate. And I know other
Hmm.
people that have played the game, hit Pirate Legend on one account, but absolutely hate their pirate and start up an entire new account and have lost a lot of those limited time cosmetics that we got back in the first year, but they at least have the pirate that they love looking at.
Yeah,
So I'm curious to see how this is going to act for
and
people.
honestly, for those, it's like they love the game so much that they don't. I mean, they're okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm real curious to see like how people are going to react over the course of the next couple months as people kind of find out more about this. Um, but I wanted to kind of move away from this and move into the other thing that they're going to be working on, which is sword combat.
Yes.
Which if I remember correctly, you and I are pretty much on the same mindset of wanting to have a sword all the time.
I have to. I tried using two guns one time, and I think I made it 30 minutes, and I couldn't do it anymore.
Is it just
I
too
I
too?
rely on the sword too much and it honestly rendered how I move around everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't do it. And it's like I love the sword in combats, sword to sword
You
combats.
How do you feel about sword combat in its current state?
You know what? It's like this. It's like, you're basically playing the same game. You're just having to retrain yourself um to the mechanics of which they've adjusted the
Yeah,
sword combat. I mean, honestly, it's like any other game. It's like if anybody else tweaks something like that, it's going to change something where you're just going to have to relearn it. And I know a
yeah,
lot of people have been complaining about it, but it's like this. It's like, you just got to rewire what
yeah.
you were using and just figure out a way you like to use it this time.
Yeah, I
That
can
makes
definitely
sense.
appreciate having to shift metas and understand like things are going to adjust. It's the same thing when we had the whole barrel system change. It took a
Mhm.
lot of people a lot of time to kind of work on that.
Mhm.
The thing that I'm looking forward to is I feel like over the last few updates, we've had changes to the sword combat to try and break some of the exploits that have been happening, and as a result, it's made the sword combat feel less fluid and more clunky in the sense that
Mhm.
you don't feel like what you're doing is representative of what you are doing in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that the sword combat tweaks that are coming will help kind of bring back some of that fluid nature that I loved about the sword. And I'll probably never give up the sword, but I definitely am interested to see how these tweaks are going to come in, and if it's going to be something to where they make it fair and still balanced while still giving you that kind of swashbuckling feel.
Yeah, I agree.
And after that, I wanted to see the talk about the mermaids, because this has been a pretty contentious issue for a lot of people, with the mermaid changes. Which if anyone's watched the video, you already know. But just to kind of cover it, the mermaids spawning is changing a little bit with this next update. So if you happen to fall off your ship and you're near your ship, the mermaid spawn is going to be faster than what it currently is, which is, I believe, distance based.
Yes.
If you spawn, or if you're near an enemy ship, then it's going to appear. They said less frequently. I'm not sure if that means that there's an opportunity that it just won't spawn.
They're not gonna like immediately appear next to a boat, is what I gathered.
Okay, yeah, that's. I had a feeling it was going to be like a little bit of a time delay, or that it wasn't going to give it away.
So anybody, if you tried to be like super sneaky and swimming up to a boat and just hoping that your mermaid does not spawn next to it, and as soon as you get to the ladder, it spawns basically right beside their boat, and you're just like, did they hear it?
Yeah.
Because I mean, it does make a recognizable sound.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And even if you can't see the flare, you know that sound offhand. You know something's up. I'm curious about this because the mermaid spawning has always been something that the devs have said have been an integral part about giving other players other information about what people are doing. And this is essentially tipping the scales more towards people who like to talk. And while I appreciate that style of gameplay as an alternative to just all-in-out fighting, I'm wondering if this is scaling it to a direction that kind of goes away from the pirate aspect of it. How do you feel about that?
I don't think it goes away from the pirate aspect because, yeah, I mean, it probably will allow people to be more sneaky. Like, I know that I will probably be more sneaky without the mermaid popping up next to a boat, because I am one, if I'm being chased or if I see a ship that I know has loot on it, I'm going to go check and see what they have. And the more sufficient way that you can board a boat without getting caught. However, it does not reduce the fact that people can still, if people are paying attention and they can hear and they've got their sounds, I mean, you obviously can hear when somebody is swimming next to your boat. The mermaid just does a little bit of a louder, like, and it has a unique sound when it comes out of the water. But, I mean, honestly, it does help being more sneaky, but I'm saying, like, I would probably enjoy it. It definitely would put more people on, I guess, being more aware of their surroundings.
Yeah.
And listen to the environment, because honestly, the sounds and mechanics that they put into the game is use it.
Yeah, but that's so that's where I tend to want to push back, because there's been things like with fishing or just general like waking of the ship with waves and stuff. Every once in a while I'll be playing, and if I'm either fishing or if I'm just kind of waiting in the water with the boat, it sounds like someone's swimming. And I'll hop around and I'll look. Yeah, there's a specific splash sound that sounds exactly like when someone's swimming near the ship. And I'll get really paranoid and be looking around for a mermaid. But if I don't see one, then there's going to be I'm going to be more on guard, which is fine. But it's going to basically put me at complete unease. And that's where I kind of worry about knowing that if there's a mermaid, then there's definitely someone swimming around. If there's no mermaid, then I'm okay. It was just
You're
a
gonna
weird
drop your
game
awareness
sound.
down.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
the problem that I run into that is the trust in the audio, because you have to trust the audio. But if the audio is doing things like it's doing right now, where you're getting these false triggers, these false alarms, then I'm going to trust the game audio less, because I won't
Hmm.
know if it's is it a bug? Is it just a weird random sound, or is it just the mermaid hasn't spawned yet?
Yeah, well,
And
I've noticed that too, and it was we had like a small conversation on it the other day about the random splashing in the water that
mhm,
makes it sound like there's somebody near the boat. So, I mean, I do check louders, and I will tend to try to listen more to see if I hear any extra splashing of the water.
yeah,
But other than that, like my senses do heighten when trying to pay attention to sounds and listening for more swimming in the water. But if it's just the boat splashing, I mean, it kind of makes sense because it is the water, and the boat splash kind of makes it seem more realistic.
yeah,
And they're very in tune with these noises. Like it's kind of like walking on an island and you hear like a fly at your ear.
hmm,
And I know a few of us have sit there and kind of tweaked their head a little bit, like, "God dang it," where
yeah.
that sound is just right there, you know. But I mean, honestly, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Okay,
I don't know. That's my
that's
opinion.
definitely it's for sure. I think it's going to be. This obviously favors the people that like to go around and be sneaky. There's definitely nothing that suggests that this is going to be beneficial to people trying to guard their treasure.
I
I
honestly don't
think,
think it's going to change that much as for how people on the boat protecting it and how people in the water are trying to sneak on it. I don't think it's going to change that much.
oh, okay. So you think that this will be like a lighter tweak compared to
I think it'll be a lighter
as
tweak than what people think it's gonna be. Honestly, that's what I think. Because I mean,
oh,
if you have people who pay attention, they hear the mermaid. Because a lot of
hmm,
people have been playing this game for a while, and they know what to listen for. Yeah, a mermaid is a big red flag that pops up in your ear, but you know if you don't hear a mermaid because you could be on an island and the mermaid spawns like right on the other side and you're at the tip of the island, so you didn't hear the mermaid, but then you hear the person swimming. So I mean, you've had instances where the mermaids didn't spawn next to your boat, but you still heard them.
yeah. That's true. That's very true. Well, I'm hoping that that's the case, because I know that a lot of the time I rely a lot on sound, and that's a luxury for me, to be able to hear stuff. So I'm hoping that taking away, or at least reducing the frequency of the mermaid spawning in your enemy ships, doesn't
Hmm.
hamper the enjoyment of people who don't have the luxury of being able to rely so heavily on audio. Sometimes having that mermaid spawn is the visual cue that someone needs to be more alert. And I hope that this doesn't cut into that accessibility that comes with having the mermaid as a definitive thing. And the reason I say that is because a long time ago, the conversation of the seashell conch, of using it to spawn and despawn the mermaid so you can sneakily get on aboard a ship, and the response to that request was purely that they wanted to make sure that the gameplay was balanced to give potential defenders a big enough reason to know, like, that there for sure is going to be someone around, because there is a mermaid.
Yeah.
So and that's mostly my biggest concern. I understand that this is going to be a lot more beneficial for people trying to get
Well, I
to
mean,
an enemy
it's kind
ship.
of the same thing. Like if somebody does successfully sneak on your boat and the mermaid's there, if they successfully board that ladder, the mermaid's immediately gone.
True, true.
So I
But
mean,
if they
nobody.
get close enough to the ship before the mermaid spawns, and they manage to get on the ladder, then the mermaid never spawns, and no one has an opportunity to actually
True,
catch
that's
it.
rarely done.
True.
as as
Yeah.
quick as the mermaid spawn at the moment.
Yeah. And a lot of this kind of comes down to seeing how it's going to kind of play with the community. I think the community is really good about being
All right.
vocal about what they think is fair and not fair, and I'm hoping that people keep a measured
And that's a good thing.
Yeah. I hope
I
that
mean, it is
I
it
hope
is
that
a
all
good thing because a lot of what's been built in the game so far is community feedback, like more than what Rare anticipated, and they've even stated that.
very much so. Yeah,
It's like
which is
communities
good
gave so
because
many good ideas. Yeah.
yeah, it makes a big difference into the overall enjoyment. So I know
Mhm.
this will be an interesting change, and I know that Rare's going to be able to tweak it as we go if they need to increase or decrease the spawn rate or spawn time or whatever they're going to be working on that.
Mhm.
But we also found out that something else is getting tweaked as far as the frequency, and that's the lightning, which is at the moment very very hard to want to go into a storm, especially if you're solo.
Yeah. And please put your swords away.
Yeah, God, man, don't run around with your sword out in the middle of a storm. You wouldn't do that in real life. Why would you do that on a ship? Things catch fire now. Um,
That's
how do you
funny.
feel about the?
I think it
Go
needs
ahead.
to be toned back down.
Oh, you're not happy with the damage?
I mean, I think it's hilarious. Like, I've got a video clip of where I was on a brig with two friends of mine, and one was AFK, but he was standing there with the sword out, and he was to the back right side of the one that was steering the boat on the helm.
Mm-hmm.
And I go down the stairs and I hear lightning strike, and I come back up and they're both on fire. So I put them out, and as soon as I basically turn around and go back downstairs, lightning strikes again, and I come up and you just see two balls of dust, and I just start busting out laughing.
Yeah, I love the damage. It's been fun, especially I think the last time I had a really good time with it was when I was playing with some friends and we had a second crew member we had a crew member from another ship on board, and they were in an open crew, and we were trying to give the guy that was on our ship treasure and trying to prevent the other guy from being able to get it in. So we were going to try and like get him to kick the other guy off the ship, or like get him to leave. And as we were sailing away, we were in the middle of a storm, and we were just going to take him to the outpost and let him kind of sit there with a bunch of treasure, and then we were going to sink the other ship.
Mhm.
Well, as we were sailing out, there was a point where he must have been at like maybe 80% health or something. We didn't know, but at the time, and as we were about to sail off, we're like, all right, so tell your friend to leave, and we'll give you all the treasure. And as soon as we finish the sentence, boom, just lightning hits, and then he just disappears, and we're just like, oh.
That's
Well,
great.
guess we're not seeing that kid anymore. Felt really bad about that.
It happens.
I actually really love the lightning being as dangerous it is, but I'm happy to hear that they're lowering the frequency.
Well, I
It
get why
is,
they raised the frequency was for the events and stuff, but
yeah,
I mean, let's calm down just a little. I do think having the sword out with would I do think having the sword out still should, let it hit you a little more if you have your
hmm
sword out in the storm because we're talking, like I said with my group, that was funny. But so I showed the one friend the clip and he's like, I knew he had his sword out. I was like, uh-huh. He did.
Oh, that's too funny.
I think
Yeah,
that's the big thing, but other than that, I do think toning it down.
so you're okay with the less frequent but still as dangerous, or do you want the damage reduced as well?
I like the damage being random.
Oh, okay. So it could be less, could be more.
Like sometimes you get hit with lightning, like I've got hit and it's been 75% health gone. And then sometimes I've got hit and it's maybe 25% gone. But I guess it depends on where it hits and how close you are to it, which, I mean, if you pay
Sounds about right.
attention, yeah. Because if you're moving and it strikes, you're not going to get a direct hit.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's gonna take less on you.
But no, I
I,
love the
I'm
lightning.
I think it's great. I think the storms need to be bigger. I think the storms should definitely kind of encompass larger areas to where it's you really have to kind of be cautious of this giant storm kind of moving across the world, and
You want
if
it
you're
to be
stuck in it,
bigger?
I do.
I have
Is that
sessions
wrong?
where it feels like I'm constantly in it.
Well, I
Like I
mean, it
can never
chases you.
escape it.
I, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I'm not discrediting the fact that Joe's out there with a controller just maniacally laughing as he's like
Laughing,
moving the
and you see a
storm.
little boat on the screen. It's like, aha, I'm gonna get you.
He's like, I will follow you to the ends of the earth.
Can you
Yeah,
imagine
no,
that? That'd
let's.
be hilarious. Can I have that
It would be.
control?
I would love to see that. But yeah, I'm discrediting the fact that I know that Joe's out there with he's got one controller for the megalodon to swim it away from people, and he's got one that's just the storm cloud that he moves around over people. But yeah, I think the storm cloud would be great. I would love to see because I mean, when you're in the storm, it feels you're constantly at the helm. Someone always has to be at the helm, or you're just going to go crazy. But you're constantly fighting lightning. You're constantly fighting the water, and then hitting or breaks in the hull. That's a big threat in the world. And
But it makes
currently,
sense though.
yeah, and it's a very natural thing. If a hurricane moves over an island, it's going to devastate everything. Like it should be menacing, and it lasts a while. And I feel like the storms could do with having a larger area. Like if you see a storm coming, it shouldn't just be like, make sure someone heads down to the ship to drop anchor and make sure that we don't get any holes. It should be one of those things like, crap, can we weather this? Can we survive dealing with this while we try and kill these skeletons or what have you on a fort? Like it should be a big threat the same way that so that's kind of the trouble. Like for experienced pirates, most of the threats in the world don't feel as threatening anymore.
I mean, I've had some instances where the storm seemed to help give me an advantage, like in on a combat state, and then I've had instances where the storm completely so you're like, not today,
Yeah.
and and I mean, I don't know. I think that could be a hot topic.
I,
From
I
what you're
definitely think
saying.
it'd be, but that's why I wanted to bring it up, is because I think that it should be, because it's easily avoidable. You could see it coming. It's not something that just spawns on you like the trifecta of PvE. So when aside from the holy trinity of PvE, the storm really is something that should be probably the most menacing, because it was back in the day when storms happened. The storm was the thing where it was like, you batten down the hatches, you start pumping the bilge, everyone is below deck, and you're just waiting it out, because there's nothing that you can do, because if you rip the sails, then that's it, you're stuck, you're dead in the water,
I
and then
wonder.
what are you going to do?
Yeah, I wonder if they could implement more on the storm affecting islands.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
Because
I
I
would love
think
to see
boats going
raised
through a
waters.
storm with it, not being able to control your boat, not being able to look at your compass, it popping holes in your boat because of the high waves, the lightning strikes. I mean, it renders your boat as it should. I think the islands could use some more weather effect from the storm instead of just lightning
Totally.
strikes.
Totally. It's interesting to go back to some of the old videos that Rare put out, where they talked about being able to manipulate the calmness, I guess would be the right verb, the how calm the waters are leading into an island, and how it's literally a slider that they can move around to see like how turbulent waters are going to be. It's always been in my mind that I thought it was strange that you have large rock sides to an island. Say we'll take Cannon Cove for an example. There's a couple sides to that island that are just drop off points where there's a large steep cliff, and the water's not turbulent there like it would be if you were actually watching waves smashing into the side of an island.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see storms and water react to large faces of water like that, or just to raise the water so that there's a high tide and low tide for islands.
That would be cool. I like that.
I think that would be really interesting to see. Like, could you
I mean, there is
bring?
currently kind of a tide if you sit there and watch it on a beach or something. But yeah, I agree. I think that would be really cool.
And I also think that the wilds would be a prime area for tides to be rougher. Like it's called the wilds. It should be rougher seas. It should be choppier seas out there, which I'm sure would annoy people to no end. I'm sure people are probably listening to this and thinking like, "No,
But
Logan,
I feel
shut
like
up.
there
That's
are
a
some
terrible
spots
idea."
in the world that it just seems choppier.
It does,
Or is it just
definitely.
me?
No, I definitely there's times where I'm sailing and I'm trying to understand why my ship is veering so far off course when I haven't been traveling that far, and I don't know if it's because I'm breaking the waves as I'm sailing, or if I'm going across the tide and it's actually just kind of pushing me off and I'm not realizing it. But
Or if you have a skelly ship that spawns and you're sitting there shooting at it and your cannonball either goes over or under and you can't find the balance for a hot minute.
oh, don't get me started on that. Don't I can't I can't talk
But then
about.
the next one that spawns up and you're sailing about the same speed, like you hit every shot, and it's like, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a conversation for another time,
No,
unfortunately.
that's fine.
But I wanted to get into the meat of this content, which I think I don't even know if I've mentioned it, but this update's called Cruise of Rage, and we're getting a new chest type, like a legit new chest type,
I'm
which
so excited.
I'm excited. I can't wait for this. I think it's going to be amazing. So we're getting the Chest of Rage, which, if you haven't watched the video, this looks like it looks like a red version of the chest that's in the book, A Tale of Sea of Thieves, with the journal entries and stuff. Towards the end, there's a chest of a cursed chest that's purple and it has a big face on it. And much like the Weeping Chest, or the Chest of Sorrow, it's designed to be a ticking time bomb, basically. And so the Chest of Rage is just that. It's a raging chest. So with it going over time, it's going to be counting down. And the longer you leave it alone, the louder and louder and angrier it's going to get. Kind of like with
so excited.
yeah, I think it's amazing. So it'll start to go off kind of like a kettle on a stove if you've ever had to heat tea, which is pretty common in America. I think a lot of us use
A lot of people do it.
kettle stoves. Yeah, I know Europe has their electric kettles and what have you, and cheating and whatnot. But
Say cheating.
the idea. It's cheating.
What?
It's totally cheating. You're plugging a kettle into the wall. That's cheating. You shouldn't be using an electric thing. Microwave's okay. I'm fine with that, but you should be putting a kettle on a stove.
Oh wow.
So it's what I grew up with. But anyway, so with the Chest of Rage, the way to calm this thing down is to toss water on it, which I'm assuming works similar to fire. That once you toss water on it, it's probably going to burn up the water. It's probably not going to be something where you just toss it onto like a bunch of plants and the water goes back into the hull.
Yeah, I think it's gonna, I guess, kind of like the fire and absorb it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm assuming.
Like from yeah, I'm assuming it. That's what it looks like because I don't touch the insiders or anything, so it's all going to be a surprise to me.
Yeah, it looks awesome. So the way this works is essentially this will slowly get angrier and angrier over time. When it goes off, it will blow up in a circle radius around it, causing everything that can catch fire to catch fire. It doesn't look like this is something that is going to be like a powder keg. It looks like it's going to be more like a firebomb. Just
go ahead.
Because I can't imagine that this will actually deal damage to anything other than just causing fire.
I think it'll deal damage to anything in the radius from the looks of it. I mean, it's like a toned down keg. You don't die immediately, but it's gonna hurt. That's what it looks like. Because I mean, the thing looks wicked.
It does, yeah, and I'm interested to find out like if it does actually do damage, because I was getting the impression that it was kind of like the Chest of Sorrows, where it just kind of constantly puts in water, but it's not something that is going to cause, like the chests don't actually cause damage yet, but this one is the first one that looks like it could actually cause damage, but not in like an explosive way, but I definitely could see it actually being something that causes like a toned down powder keg.
Yeah, the other two curse chests, they're made to definitely render packing them in one way, shape, or form. One renders your sailing, and the other one renders your walking with it. So
Yeah.
But this one, like, I am super excited. And I do expect it to cause damage, not only to your boat, but just, I guess, some fire damage to the players, just from the radius from the video that they released, where it looked like it kind of exploded. I could
So like
totally see me doing sneaky stuff with this thing.
so instant damage plus fire. Then you're thinking?
It's what it looks like. I think it is.
Okay.
Like, you need to keep it calm, or it's going to explode.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking it was kind of like a really high powered heater where it just kind of explodes and then anything that can catch fire catches fire. But I could definitely see it doing
But we
some
can
damage
catch
too.
fire, so it's going to.
Well, it'll do the fire damage, but it won't do like additional instant damage like once it explodes. That was kind of what I was thinking. Kind of like with a firebomb. Like the firebomb itself doesn't cause damage, but the fire it creates does. It'll be interesting. I'm curious. I don't know, so we'll have to figure it out.
I'm gonna have to mess with it and
Yeah.
see if I can hurt with it.
So this was, and it's funny because when I was watching the video, I was thinking about this because I was thinking much like the crates of plants. You can fill the hole up and toss the plants down there, and as long as it breaches the top of the box for the plants, it'll keep those plants watered. This, they have taken that into account with this.
Dude, I was so excited when they seen it. I was like, ooh, that's a good move.
Yeah, it's smart because I can immediately see people being like, oh, well, we'll just toss it in the bottom of the ship and then we'll just put water in there and that'll be fine. No, this will superheat the water. So then you're going to have to compete with something that blows up and heats the water that's in it. So I would imagine this is going to be a top deck item if I'm thinking.
Yeah, I agree.
And this kind of furthers the point of powder kegs being off limits for ships, as far as I can tell. Like I can't see.
I wonder if it would set them off.
It probably would. Just like if it was like a firebomb, because you can throw firebombs and catch kegs off, so I can't see why this wouldn't.
Well, I mean, like the new captains that come out the last updates, the forts, like if the keg's sitting next to them and they do that slam, like it doesn't render them. But
no, but
if you're holding it, if you're holding the keg, yeah, boom.
I think a lot of that deals with because I think the reason for that is to deal with the actual state of the item. Like I think when the item is not in player control, then it's not active unless it's purposefully hit with like a projectile or a sword. And I think because of the way that the knockback works for the skeletons, I think it does damage to the player. But if there's something that is volatile in the player's hands, then that counts. That triggers it. That's interesting. I'm gonna say I'm gonna take the side that it'll probably set off powder kegs. But that's just kind of because I'm expecting how it would work like a firebomb. But you're talking about this being like a smaller.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So the fun thing that I think will come as a result of this chest is that unlike the Chest of Sorrows, which has you cannot lull that thing with music. It's always I refuse to believe that you can do anything with music to calm the Chest of Sorrows.
Yeah, you can't. There's no calming that chest.
There's no calming it ever. You can't. You can hold it and that's it. But you can upset the Chest of Rage. Now, I don't know if you can upset it with harsh language.
Yeah,
but
I wonder if you can walk up to it and just hit it with a sword or shoot it, and if it'll, like, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? If you walk up and hit it, it's going to amplify it faster. Words.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what I was getting from the video. That you could shoot it to cause it to shorten the timer on when it was going to explode. So I don't know about that. We'll have to debate that another time. But yeah, I think that this is going to be something where it's going to be a situation where you can actually quote unquote enrage it by shooting it. And I think that I would imagine the more damage you do to it, the quicker it gets to the point of exploding. which I think is awesome. I think that's a great tool to use.
Yeah. And if that happens and you board somebody else's boat and you just walk up and start hitting his chest.
Yeah.
I mean,
or you take it aboard and you just start fighting around it. You start forcing players to try and fight around it to kind of whittle down that timer even more.
Yeah.
So random shots or sword swings inadvertently cause this thing to get more and more angry. Which I think is a great way. Do people try to calm down the chest as they're trying to fight you, or do they just not engage with you because they don't want to set it off any faster than it already is? Like there's lots of, and at that point, are you trying to set it off? Or are you trying to waste your precious ammo on getting this thing to explode, knowing that it's going to do a certain amount of damage? Or do you just try to let it go off and defend it while it's on the ship? It's going to be an interesting kind of a dynamic. What do you pay attention to? A lot of
people seeing what this chest can do.
Totally. Definitely.
I know.
I can't wait to see.
It's like my mission on update day is to find one.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that this is going to be kind of integral. Being that the update's called Cruise of Rage, I'm imagining that they're going to want people to play around with this and see what they can do. Which brings me to my next point of the topic, which is what I've devised as the ultimate game of hot potato.
Yes.
Because I know you, and this is a perfect item for you. You love playing hot potato in one form or another, whether people know they're playing or not.
Mostly they don't know they're playing.
They usually don't, no.
As long as it entertains me, it's fine.
Which, if anyone goes to Kharities streams, they know Kharities loves to play games that no one else knows they're playing. So as soon as you get on board, just assume you're going to die more from her than anyone else on the server.
And there's a good chance there is a higher chance that I'm going to sink our boat before anybody else does.
My God, woman.
What?
That, you just made me remember the one thing that happened the last time we sailed that was so infuriating. I could have been a chest of rage with that last voyage. I still can't believe you shot at that galleon, that skeleton galleon when we had...
I didn't shoot at it. I went to board it.
Oh, that's right. You sword lunged off the back of the ship to go board it. With no supplies, a ton of loot. We had just come from the Shores of Gold. We had just left the Shores of Gold or something.
We were in the Roar. I think we were doing
That's right. Yeah, we got a ton of treasure, no supplies, just evaded another ship. Galleon spawns, and you decide to sword lunge onto it, and I flip out. It was one of the few times I think I've ever flipped out. Caused so much anxiety.
I remember that session now.
Yeah. So, but to get back to point, I think the Chest of Rage is going to be a really fun kind of game for people, and so I've created some light rules for people if they want to play around. You have a Chest of Rage, and you can play wherever you want. You can play on your ship, you can play on an island, you can play on an enemy ship if you really want to. I think that would be the ultimate game, playing on an enemy ship.
Always.
And you're distance apart, so you're not right next to each other. But one person has the Chest of Rage, and the game begins. You get 1 bucket of water and 5 shots. You can from a pistol. Don't go with a blunderbuss or an Eye of Reach, because that'll just kind of change up. Maybe a blunderbuss would be kind of cool to add some variety to how much damage you can do. But you get 5 shots, and you get 1 bucket of water, and you pass the Chest of Rage between each other. And you can decide when you want to cool it down or when you want to try and cause it to enrage faster. And whoever touches it last before it explodes wins. So we'll see. If anyone has fun, they can have a lot of fun with the Chest of Rage as they're sailing around. And I just thought this would be kind of an interesting game to play while you're sailing to your next voyage. If you happen to see one, you want to see who's the more tactical pirate. And who can get it to explode in their friend's hands, especially if you're on another. Yeah, so that was kind of a thought that I had. Anything that you can think of that you want to do some Sea of Science with when this comes out?
Oh, I don't know. I usually don't think of anything until I'm actually on there. I'm like, ooh, this sounds cool. Let's go try it out. I'm pretty
I'm
random.
I'm curious to see a couple things. The first crew that is able to use chests of rage to complete a fort. And the idea here is you would probably want to have maybe 4 or 5 of these lined in a row, and you would essentially just have you and your party shooting these from afar to kind of get them doing rage, and then when the skeletons spawn, you just drag them through this line, kind of like a tower defense. Like just create a tower defense fort,
Ooh.
and the chest of rages are your towers, and you have to shoot them to cause them to go off to kill the skeletons that are running through it.
Ooh, that would be fun. That would be interesting to do. There
Yeah,
honestly would
so
be a lot. But I wonder how rare they are. That's the thing.
that ultimately that kind of depends. I've seen it personally, at least an uptick in some of the chests of sorrows and stuff that I've played with when I've been going around, but I could definitely see these being that they're the new thing. You know, Rare usually does, like every new update, they always kind of emphasize doing the using the new thing in the game. So we'll probably see a lot of these with the start of the update, and then after the first month, it'll probably go back down to just randomly finding one. I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm curious to know if these are going to be put in with like Athena's voyages and Gold Hoarders and messages in a bottle as well.
Yeah, because I know they're going to be like, you're going to be able to find them a little more with the
Yeah.
update. And then after the next update it releases, like they're going to, which is what Rare does, they implement it in the game so you can still find them.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder how often they're going to be in the game as of this update coming.
Yeah. I'm curious to see just how much we'll see people being able to play. I would love for Rare to have a way that you can purposefully get these.
Put on a boat.
That would be awesome. I would love to see a whole bunch of these things and people just
On a
constantly
sloop.
running buckets of water.
On a sloop.
I'm also curious to see if people are going to try and grab a couple of these to sink the scallions to see if they can, you know, put like a chest of rage on top deck and then a chest of sorrow on bottom deck, and see how long it takes for you to clear the top deck of skeletons while sinking it. That's the next thing. Yeah, I want to see. I want to see just how.
Yeah, now the thing is on a skeleton ship is, especially when you're fighting a galley, like you want to throw fire bombs at the top deck, and it renders the skellies from shooting you as adamant as they do.
Yeah.
With their great aiming skills.
We're not getting into the cannonball thing. We're gonna stay away from that for now.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, they definitely. Nope, not getting into it. Moving on.
Next.
The Wild Rose song is now available through streaming services like Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Play, Deezer. I don't know what Deezer is. Apple Music, and Tidal. I can't believe Tidal is still a thing.
That's awesome.
I love it. I love that they're doing this.
All their music is so good.
Yeah, I absolutely love all the songs. I was listening to it today when I was piecing together the show notes and whatnot, and it's part of me loves that we're getting these songs once in a while. I still want a full album, and I can't wait till Beanland is able to finish it up. And I hope that.
So good.
Do you want, like, are you still like a physical media person, or does it kind of mix, or are you just all digital when it comes to music and movies and stuff?
It's mixed.
Mixed.
Yeah, I have DVDs. Like I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna watch this one instead of pulling it offline. And I've got CDs in my car, and if I go out somewhere and I see, like, because I like thrift shopping, and of course there's people that you know put in their CDs, and I'll find like an old album that I haven't thought of in years, and if I see it, I'm buying it, and I immediately go to my car and put it in the CD player.
Yeah, I can definitely appreciate that. That's oh man. Yeah, the cars are like my bane when it comes to audio with Bluetooth.
Hmm.
It's still like such a pain in the butt.
Yeah, and we've got a record player in the house. I mean, it all
Oh, and I
depends. Some things sound better.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up record players because I was looking at record players yesterday when I was out shopping,
Mm.
and I kept thinking about like do I really want like an LP player? Because there's a couple albums that I would just love to have because they're full like well designed albums that are just great to
Mhm.
listen to from start to end. And I was thinking, man, I would love to have one of those just sitting around that I can kind of listen to. And then I saw the tweet from Craig Duncan today where he had, what did he say? It was like cathartically organized his meticulous collection of LPs. And I was thinking, like,
Mm.
I would love to see a Sea of Thieves LP with the Gold
Ooh.
Reapers mark on top, or just have it as like an actual skull that
I think a
in that
Ghost
shape.
Reapers would fit, but more rustic looking, not super shiny. You know what I mean?
I would do both actually. I love the idea
Hmm.
of having a super gold shiny foil looking one, but I love the idea of like a messed with kind of rusted up, not perfect,
Hmm.
a wonky
Wonky.
version.
I like it. I'm game. Can we have one, please?
So yeah, please, Rare, if you're listening to this. So yeah, the Wild Rose song is now available through streaming services. If you haven't gotten a chance to listen to it, it's absolutely beautiful. It's one of the best songs, and they're all great songs, but this is definitely one of the better songs, just because of the tall tale that's associated with it. And yeah, I think that's it. We have the update coming out on the 19th, and that's it's going to be amazing to see just how that lands with the community. I know a lot of
Hmm.
people enjoyed the Legends of the Sea. I think this is going to bring a lot more interesting and new and exciting gameplay videos coming out, just how
Hmm.
people are playing around with it. And is there anything that you can think of aside from the music boxes that might be coming for the anniversary update for year two?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know what they're gonna do.
Any dreams that you've had where you're just like, oh, I would love to see blank.
I think Arena would need like more game modes for Arena.
Hmm.
Kind of like
I would love that.
capture the flag, King of the Hill,
Yep.
kind of methods, but more pirate style. But those would definitely bring back more into the arena.
And then I guess my last question for you is going to be,
Yes.
um, how do you feel about PVE servers? Boom, go.
PVE servers.
Yeah.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with it if that's what people, because I know there's a lot of people who really are just, they like the game for the adventure of it, and I totally get that. Like they like the whole being immersed in a pirate, and going out and like the sounds and the colors, and just digging up the treasure and fighting the skeletons and beating the boss and everything like that, and to where they enjoy playing games and they know how the game works and they know how they want to do it. But when it comes to, you know, PvP, it stresses them out. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people I know,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people that just play this game because it's relaxing. Like
Yep.
it's something they can come home after a hard day and they can just chill and enjoy like this gorgeous freaking game that's been made with the sounds and everything. And honestly, it is calming and relaxing. Like I could sit here and just be completely chilled out and play this game. But
Yeah.
when it comes to the PvP part coming into play, it can stress you out, especially when you're in such a relaxed stage and all of a sudden you basically get hit with an atomic bomb of a galley ship rolling up on you with some experienced PvPers. You know what I mean? Like it changes the game and how you were just playing it in a matter of a second.
Would you say that it's similar to trying to read a book on a white sand beach in the middle of the Caribbean, and someone coming over and kicking over your margarita and blocking the sun and just wanting to know if you're using the umbrella that you have.
Yeah, along with them throwing a big ass bucket of water on you.
That would be really frustrating.
And it ruins
for sure.
your book.
Oh, don't say that. That would be
that's
the worst.
That's what I'm saying. That's like how it goes from something that calm to from 0 to 100.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I mean, if you're going to use that comparison, you got to add the water.
Fair enough. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I constantly love just the amount of streaming that you do. Where can people go to join your community as well as follow you and check out your streams? Because I know you stream basically every day.
Yeah, I stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. I normally start about 9 a.m. Central. Of course, I'm not like adamant start on time every day because, I need my coffee. I'm being on it. Like, I'm just a person, okay? Gotta have my coffee.
I'm drinking mine right now. I just finished mine, so that's how I know the show's time to close up.
Yeah, it's on, Twitch, Kharities _ you find it there, and then of course Twitter, and I post things there too. I'm not good at doing this. I'm not good at advertising.
You're doing fine. Just so if anyone listening wants to know, I'm going to have her Discord as well as her Twitter and her Twitch URLs. Those are all going to be in the show notes if you want to check it out. Kharities, thank you for being a part of this community. Thanks for sharing your way of playing with me, because it has definitely made me a much more alert pirate. When we have gotten to sail, I've always been on my toes when we're sailing around. I can't wait to see some of the stories that you have playing around with the chests of rage, especially if you manage to get on some other people's ships with them, or just messing with them as you go to essentially do what you have already been doing with putting fruit on cooking pots during like a Fort of the Damned Alliance. I love what you do.
You seen that?
Oh, I was watching. I loved when I was one of the ones in there. Like, yeah, go put some fruit on their ship. Go start burning fruit.
Other guy who was doing the same thing.
Yeah, and then you're like, wait a second. Yeah, no, that was a great adventure, and you have those on a daily basis on your stream. So I would encourage anyone that doesn't watch your streams to venture out once in a while. If you're in the Keelhauled Discord, the Go Live channel has her pop up every time she goes live, so you'll always recognize that as well too. So Kharities, thank you so much. We're gonna call this a one more in the bucket and head out from here. Any final words you want to say?
No, I don't have anything in particular to say besides can't wait for this next update and to see what else they bring.
All right, pirates, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me, and I really hope you enjoyed my conversation with Kharities as we talked about some of the stuff that's coming in the next update. Obviously, the next update is coming out on the 19th, so keep an eye out for that. Make sure you're getting all of your accommodations fixed up before then. Try to get everything secured. I know that just today, some of the Discord members were able to help out other people get some stuff taken care of to make sure to get those knocked out for everyone. I'm going to toss in the Portal song in the end here instead of the normal ending, just because I know it's Kharities and I's one of our favorite games, so I just love the song. I figured I'd toss this in there to kind of make you guys, if you have played it, you know how awesome it is, so I thought I'd throw that in there. Other than that, pirates, that's gonna do it. It's gonna be an awesome week to see how things go over the next update and see how things go. And then don't forget, there is a meetup going on the 22nd. Actually, before I even commit to that, let me double check on that. Yes, it's going to be on the 22nd. It's going to be in San Francisco at the Hyde Pier. We're going to go to the Fisherman's Wharf to check out these ships out there. That's going to be from 1 p.m. PST to 4 p.m. PST. If you have any questions or concerns, you want to know more information about it, feel free to let me know. You can always reach me by email at captlogun@gmail.com. You can always hit me up on Twitter at CAPT_LOGUN. There's also the Megalodon information I'm going to put as far as the roaming Meg notes, or the actual Twitter account for that, if you want to find out like more information about where one might be coming to your location. With that, Pirates, thank you again. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions, concerns, if I missed something that you're interested in. I would love to know. That way I make sure I add it into the next episode. But the next episode is actually going to be the interview, the celebration of the 2-year anniversary of the podcast. And we're going to be able to, or I'm going to have the episode out. It's already done. It's in the can. I just need to promote it. And that's going to be with Mike Chapman, who, if you don't know, he's the design director for Rare. I don't know how you would know, but if you don't know, it was a great conversation, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with everyone next week for the 2-year anniversary of the podcast. That's it, Pirates. Thank you. I love you, and I look forward to sailing with you on the Sea of Thieves. So I figured I'd just jump right into. Do you want to talk about you first? Or do you want to talk about the news first?
Go ahead and talk about the news. That's fine.
All right, talking about you first. Got it.
That's
That's going in the bloopers.
Oh boy.